Hello, folks, and welcome back to Appalachian Intelligence. We hope you enjoyed the last episode with Adam Stokes. Ryan, I had a lot of fun on that episode. I don't know about you, but I had a blast.
I did. Adam's a great guy, very knowledgeable, and just one of those people that just can draw a conversation out of thin air. He knows his stuff. He's right there. He's a great dude.
Oh yeah, definitely. I thought his take on a lot of the things that he had on Bigfoot, on certain cryptids, on giants in general, and where they came from and how that all ties together, I thought was fantastic. I mean, I had a blast talking to him, and I was serious. It's an open door for him anytime he wants to come back on. So, Adam, if you're listening again, keep that in mind. We told y'all a couple episodes ago that we were going to start reading some 5-star reviews, ratings, and start reading reviews to the 5-star ratings left. So staying true to that. This one is from Ms. Ike. So there's a whole lot of eyes in that, Ms. Ike. It says, great pod. Nice balance of hilarious and serious. Awesome topics as well. Looking forward to more episodes. Keep up the great work, fellas. This one is from a cuneiform. Ms. Ike, sorry. Thank you for that. We appreciate the review. We greatly appreciate it. And I would say that we try to balance it out, but it's just us. I mean, we find these topics, we think they're interesting, and they are interesting, but we're still us. We're going to laugh and joke and cut up and have a good time. So, I mean, that's just who we are. But I'm glad that you enjoy it. This one is from a cuneiform. This says this Yankee gal loves these Southerners. I just watched the doc Missing 411 and did a search on podcasts to see what else is out there, because I have a special place in my heart for Southern accents and Appalachia. I tuned in. I hope y'all get some sponsorships like Dan and Lindsay on Scared to Death. I also love Scared to Death and Dan and Lindsay. I listen weekly. I never miss an episode. So you can continue waxing poetic while making a good living. Good luck, guys. A fan in Philadelphia. Yes, I said Philly. Well, cuneiform, we thank you so much for the review. Also, the accents, we that's not staged either. It's just us. We apologize to everyone else. There's nothing we can do about it. That's us.
Hey, a word from Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. So that's two that we hadn't read before. That we'll share at the beginning of this one. That's what we're going to start doing each episode, is sharing a review or two that was left. So if you want your review shared on the podcast, on episode, leave one there and we'll get to it. That's what we'll do. We did have a guest scheduled for this episode tonight. Unfortunately, she fell ill, had to postpone. We're praying for her. Hope she feels better. Our best and well wishes are with her. I was really looking forward to the conversation, but it's still going to happen. We'll still get around to it. But the show must go on. It must go on. We're trying to do these things. We tiptoed back, or we danced a line back and forth from the beginning, saying we were going to drop episodes weekly. Well, then it was too much work. We're going to do it bi-weekly. Well, we're really trying to do it weekly. That's what we've done the last few episodes that we've recorded. So that's what we're going to continue to try to do. So we hope that you guys are tuning in each week. We hope that you enjoy the content. We're trying to get better and better at what we do. I love having guests on here because it keeps me from rambling like I'm doing right now, and a lot of times. But anyway, even if we don't have guests, I mean, we still have a good time. We're still going to talk about interesting things.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to have a blast doing it. So after that super, super, super long intro,
Yeah.
Apologize. Today, Ryan, tell the folks what we're talking about.
We are going to discuss the strange happenings along the 37th parallel. Let's just put this in mind. So one side of the world, let's go all the way over to North South Korea on the border. That's the 37th parallel. Come all the way through the Middle East, across Asia, across Russia, through the Middle East, come through the United States. And yes, folks, we're right in the heart of it.
Yep.
All the way to just south of San Jose, California. So that would make your whole loop. And I think I read it's about a 150-mile real estate between 36 and 38.
Yeah.
So that parallel running. So that's
and when we talk the 37th parallel, what that is, you're talking about coordinates. You're talking about a grid on a map. The parallel is you have latitude and longitude, and your latitude line is your parallel. So it's just that imaginary line. Yeah, it's that imaginary line like the equator that wraps around the globe. Sorry, flat earthers. It wraps around the globe. Unless you can prove me wrong. If you can come on here and prove me wrong.
There wouldn't be coordinate points if Earth was flat. Just stop, people. Just stop.
I mean, it could be if you done it like grid paper, bro.
What did they tweet earlier?
Oh, that's been a few years ago. Me and Ryan were talking about this earlier. I said one of my favorite NASA tweets ever. The Flat Earth Society had put a post on Twitter that said, "We have members all across the globe," and NASA retweeted that or quoted the tweet and said, "Go back and read that again carefully." So, hey, look, I'm open to all possibilities. I mean, if you take grid paper, you can still have coordinates. I'm thinking, but that's just me, Ryan. That's just me. But when we're talking about the 37th parallel, like Ryan stated, it goes, it goes across the border of North and South Korea, goes all across the world. It actually goes through Granada, Spain.
Yes.
Fukushima, Japan, and keep those two in mind.
Yes.
And like we said, between the border of North and South Korea, and also when we're talking the U.S. in general, if you put a pin on the Atlantic coast at the Virginia, North Carolina border and stretch it all the way across the U.S. and place the pin just south of San Jose, California, that's the 37th parallel. So anything that falls, like Ryan said, within a 150-mile north-south radius of that, you're in the 37th parallel. So you're pretty much talking splitting the U.S. in half, kind of the way that I see it and look at it. But particularly what we're going to be talking with this 37th parallel today is the high strangeness that happens along. Everything from ghosts to UFOs to Bigfoot to portals to these vortexes of energy. Anything that you can think of or imagine in the paranormal world has been documented or accounted along this 37th parallel. Okay. And specifically, our show, we're Appalachian boys, and this show is called Appalachian Intelligence. So of course we're interested in what's going on in Appalachia because that's where we are. That's where we live. Yeah. And we are dead center, that 37th parallel. We're actually almost on the line, and we're like the epicenter. So with that, we I don't want to dive too deep into this, right?
Well, what we've been talking about, talking about synchronicity, the Mammoth Cave National Park is epicenter
Yeah.
of that line.
And how often have we been talking about Mammoth Cave here recently?
The last 2 months, it makes me want to go down there and just start walking these caves.
I've actually been to Mammoth Cave. I've been in Mammoth Cave. I walked inside, did a tour inside the cave. I have pictures of it and have a magnet on my fridge saying, hey, I've been there, because Monica has this, everywhere we go, she has to get a magnet.
My aunt does that.
Like souvenirs. So it's awesome. It's super cool in there, but this is before that we had I had dove into this realm of, all these different, the realm of high strangeness, we'll say. And something that I don't want to go too far into this, because I want a lot of it to be surprising to the audience as it keeps building. But me and Ryan have been thinking toward and working toward a project. And we're kind of building off of a couple different teams and crews that have investigated and researched and done work in the area, in our backyard. So with that, taking in all their information, all their data that they have discovered and put out there, who best to follow through or even finish through and to look more and deeper into these things than two guys that live in it. I mean, it's literally in our backyard. And, when you're talking about Appalachia in general, just kind of taking a little sidebar here for a second, you got to think about where the Appalachian people come from, how they originated. We come from the largest percentage of ethnic background in the Appalachian area is Scots-Irish, Germany, even Africa. A lot of people don't know it, but the banjo, a staple in bluegrass music, you can't have a bluegrass song without a banjo, came from Africa. It originated from Africa. They took gourds, hollowed them out, put animal skin on the front of it, and tied whatever string they could to it to get that sound. So that's where the banjo originated. So when you start talking about these different European cultures, these places that we came from, our ancestors, and these African ancestors that we have, you look at their beliefs, you look at their lives, their lifestyle, what they believe. And you take Scots-Irish, for example, they talk about the fae and fairies, they believe all this stuff. Like, it's just like me and you talking about the weather. This stuff is real. Every UFO encounter that people might talk about, or Bigfoot encounter, or anything at all paranormal, they attribute that to fairies. It's some form of fairy folk. You take Germany, they're deep into, spirits, and that's what we've talked about. Poltergeist, that's where the word comes from. Poltergeist is German for noisy ghost. I mean, so, and Africa, they're deep in that spiritual connection with their dead ancestors, with the afterlife, with all these different things. So you look at Appalachian people, and you look at the majority of those folks that are here living in this area, in the area of Appalachia, and their background, their roots is deeply, deeply spiritual, and a belief that the world and what we know to be true may be a lot bigger than what we grow up hearing and believing, or what science may tell us, or what you may read, in anything nonfiction. So just starting off with that, and in this area in general, that's something that I want to throw out there. So when you hear these stories, and look, don't get me wrong, I'm sure when the settlers were first here and everything was witchcraft and everything was, which is still going on to this day, by the way. One of the biggest, how do I put this? One of the biggest covens, we'll call it, of self-proclaimed witches is really, really close to us in Eastern Kentucky. So, I mean, you still have those practices going on. And even if they are just, you know, half involved, or they don't even know what they're doing or getting into, the rituals are still being performed. They still have the books. They're still doing the spells. They're still doing these ceremonies. So what is that invoking? I mean, we don't know.
Let's just call it what it is. It's all hooey. It's hooey.
But is it?
It is. Listen, folks. If you have cancer, go to the doctor. Don't take a crystal from one of these crazy bastards. Go to the doctor. That's all crap. And I'm not gonna, you know what? I'm gonna stop saying it that way. I don't want to shit on anybody's beliefs that hard. You know, that's not right. In my opinion, just don't believe any of that is real.
But just because you don't believe it, it doesn't mean that they don't believe it.
Oh, I know. And I believe that they do believe it.
So if they believe it, then what's the power behind that belief?
Mass hysteria?
It could be. It could be.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or there could be this spiritual world out there that what they're doing is bringing some things about, keeping some certain energies and forces around. So when we're talking that Appalachia in general, but we're also talking about, you know, the 37th parallel as a whole. So, Ryan, I'll let you talk about some of the things and some of the places, and I'll throw in some that if you don't cover them all, some of the things, some of the places along the 37th parallel that have went on, that have been documented.
So, as I said before, the Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky is on there. East of that, you have Fort Knox, the Pentagon, Washington, D.C. in general.
That's huge.
Yes. There's the notorious New Mexico Dulce base. It's supposed to be an Air Force base. I don't know of any Air Force base. I was in the Air Force. I've never heard of this base. So I'm not sure what everybody's talking about. Sorry about that. Something was going on with this headset. If we can edit that.
You're good.
Or just leave it. I don't care.
You're good. You're okay.
So you have the Four Corners, where Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and is it Nevada? Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona meet up. Colorado's Mesa Verde. Aztec, New Mexico, where there were reports of an unidentified object crashing in 1948. And let's see. You guessed it, Area 51. That's right on that line. Let's see. The Moab and Canyonlands National Park in Utah. The Grand Canyon is along the 37th parallel. And that could be why Evel Knievel never made it. That was
yeah. That's possible.
Just wasn't putting enough vibes out in the universe, man. I don't know. But
wasn't in the cards for you, Evel.
No, it wasn't in the cards.
They didn't like your name. They didn't like your name. They wanted to be the only evil there. And here you come with your stupid name, Evil, trying to mock their evil, and they wasn't having it. Sorry.
with your cool motorcycle. So there's Joplin, Missouri. Is that the name? Joplin or Joplin, Missouri?
I think it's Joplin, Missouri, with the Spook Lights.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those were like decades apart and then extending on out eastward.
And all this stuff that we're mentioning, guys, like we're not going to go in depth on every single one of these. We're just trying to show the brevity of all the things that have went on along the 37th parallel. But any of these things that you want to look up for yourself and check out on your own, do it, because they're all interesting. And we could literally do an episode on each of these places. And we may at some point, we may very well do that.
And we don't know where this rabbit hole's going.
We have an idea.
Yeah.
We have an idea. But places outside of, well, I'll mention another one really fast that a lot of people are familiar with, and that's Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch, there's been so many documentaries on it, books written. I was listening to a guy the other day that actually bought the property neighboring the ranch just so he could sit in his dining room and look out the back window and see what's going on. And some of the stories that he has are just insane, man. I mean, you're talking a place that they claim that there's portals and all these different unidentified objects, flying objects, all these cryptids, portals opening up and upright walking dogs that, I like to call dog man, walking out of, all these different things that are going on in one area, one location. But, that one is super well known. But you hear all those same stories right around here where we live. Maybe not in one central location, but I've heard stories from and plan on having a lot of them if they'll agree. That's also the thing about where we live. People want to be, they'll tell in private or in confidence these stories, but you're like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? And I don't know. I've got this reputation to keep. Not everybody wants to let their crazy out like me. But you hear stories of all these things in our area too, where we live. Like I said, we're building off of two teams that have some crazy, insane stories and synchronicities and connections and all these things that happened over the course of months and years worth of work and research. So, I mean, yeah, Skinwalker Ranch is really cool. Outside of the U.S., you have, I mentioned Granada, Spain earlier, and there were dozens of documented UFO sightings there in 1976. And then Fukushima, Japan, that might ring a little clearer because it was more recent. In 2011, there was an earthquake and a nuclear disaster there. And then, North and South Korea, the border, we all know what's been going on there for, generations now.
Yeah.
But it's just.
What's the DMZ right there?
Yeah, exactly. But this 37th parallel, man, I mean, it actually has been dubbed the Paranormal Highway, the Extraterrestrial Highway, all these different names to describe this parallel for all the accounts. And now, look, I'm not saying that there's not paranormal accounts that don't come from anywhere else in the world. It just seems like along this imaginary line that wraps around the earth, there's just a crazy amount. I know that you have been looking into a guy, what was his name?
Chuck Zukowski.
He's
got just a little north of 30 years in research. He pretty much got started a long time. He used to be a sheriff's deputy. And I think it was like a volunteer thing. It's not a very big town. He was out in Colorado.
Like auxiliary.
Yeah. And so these cattle keep getting, it just happens to be cattle. It doesn't have to be livestock, and I'll get into that later. But these cattle were getting mutilated, and the sheriff station had, dubbed it one thing, and he just happened to say, I disagree with that. I believe it could be something like this. He got fired. Well, that kind of struck a fire and, piqued his interest because nobody's wanting to look into what's going on. So he started to. So one of the things he found early on, and it's still true today, anytime they're found, is the cattle are always pointing west. Yeah. So
always pointing west.
they're always yeah. So like the legs, if they're there or whatever, the underside, the belly would be pointing west.
That's crazy. Wow. Does he have any theories behind that?
He does not. It's he goes, he goes, I don't know. He goes, that's just one of the things that rings true every time. The other thing that rings true is 9 out of 10 of these mutilations, like livestock especially. So like these ranchers will know what sections their cattle are grazing. So they would know those cattle are there. But the ranchers would take these investigators and say, over here is where it was mutilated, like through fences and everything. And then point C would be where they would find the carcass closer to where point A would have been. And it's always drained of blood.
Now, I did read in some of these cattle mutilations, or maybe all, I don't know, but there's like circular sized holes in some of these, like in their rib cage or their side or whatever, and organs removed almost with like surgical precision, and they're also drained of blood, right?
Well, that's what he was saying. His theory is that whatever is going on, it's all about the blood. Sorry, I had something going on here. His theory is it's all about the blood.
Yeah.
His theory, when they tear these things apart, drain the blood, he thinks they take those organs just like, just to make you think they're after all that mutilated, but it's really, he thinks it's about the blood somehow.
So does he think that these are extraterrestrials doing this, that they are alien?
He said he will not say that.
I mean, I did read, like, I didn't listen or look into this guy, as big as you did or as much as you did, but I was trying to read up some on him and, kind of get his take. And from what I saw, even though there's a ton of people out there calling him, this crazy UFO guy, he goes about everything, from what I could tell, really skeptically, kind of. He went about it like he was conducting a case with law enforcement.
That's
trying to gain evidence, trying to do all this different stuff. So, I mean, for me, that's what you would want in an investigation.
Well, when that episode first started up, they're just those two guys talking, and they call him and bring him on, and it was I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to sit through this or not. But I get, I was like, no, I just need to figure out what he's talking about. And as he started talking and he come out and talked about these investigations, he goes into everything. He's like, whether I believe what somebody's trying to tell me when I go out on an investigation or not, he goes, I go into it open-minded. So,
yeah.
For example, this one lady had told him she is a medium and she was psychically connected to a family of Bigfoot.
Nice.
And
Who's this lady? We need to talk to this lady.
I don't think he gave her name.
Man.
But
go, Chuck.
What they were wanting to do was the Bigfoot family. They were wanting to meet some investigators to try and calm this stuff down. So he's like, okay, and he's like, this lady's crazy. However, he and his friend get there, the other investigator. They get there. She's like, she has the GPS in her head. She knows where to go. She'll let them know, blah, blah, blah. And they get to where they're going. So she tells them it's right here. They're not 20 feet from the truck. When she just dead stops, he says she goes pale white. And she's like, we've got to leave. We've got to get out of here. We got to go. And said she was in a panic, like having a panic attack, can't breathe. She's like crying, scared to death. He's like, I don't understand what's going on right now. That's when they hear off in the distance this god awful noise. He never said it was a Bigfoot running, it was doing this. He said it was either a elk or a large deer, male deer. Because the way that it was grunting, those noises, you know how they'll get like when they're fighting and things, their sounds change.
Yeah.
He says that's what was going through my mind. And he said, and my friend later said that's what he thought too. And he said, but right mid scream, and he said it was just tearing through the woods, like dead sprint. He said, but right mid scream, it was just cut off. And everything went quiet.
Wow.
He said, and that's when we decided, let's just go on back, because she kept saying, we got to go. We can't be here. And she later told him, she's like, I feel like I thought we were going to die. She's like, that's what I got from whatever we just walked into. She goes, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, he never discounted the story or anything. In my mind, the whole time I'm thinking is she got in touch with him to tell him that she's psychically connected to a family of Bigfoot. She has a psychic GPS location. That could be a major setup.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. Or it couldn't be.
Or it may not be. It may have been she was being honest, or she actually felt that way. But if it was her being legit, then that's crazy that she's like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But now, man, I mean, look, I'm no psychic by any means. I have never claimed to be, never will. No medium. I'm no, I can't, whatever. That's not where I operate. But I can tell you that there's certain times in my life where I've just had these gut feelings, and I believe that most everybody does. Like, just this primal instinct kicks in, like something bad's getting ready to go down. Something bad's getting, the energy don't feel right. Something's off. It's time to go, or it's time to be on edge, or have my head on a swivel, or people get these feelings. It's just a primal instinct that takes over. It's like a spidey sense.
Yeah.
And I think we all have that. So would that not kind of be a type of sixth sense, foreshadowing, kind of premonition that your body is biologically telling you, hey, something's wrong, something's off? It's our basic animal instincts. So yeah, I'm not saying that can't be. I'm not saying that can't be amplified to an extent where, maybe some people can operate in that area. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean,
there's these guys who give accounts of the astro projections, or or what do they call it? Just projecting, right?
Yeah.
On an astral plane, I would assume.
Well, there's some accounts of people being able to, like Buddhist monks, being able to create a body double which is nuts. That's actually called something. I can't remember exactly what that's called, but accounts of people being in two different places at the same time, same person. And these Buddhist monks are some that are accounted, which, I mean, those guys, if you believe everything that's written about them, goodness gracious, that's nuts. That's a different type of mental prowess there. But I was interested, and I meant to, I wanted to wait till kind of the end to do it, but I want to do it right now just because you are more of a skeptic in all of this. You know, I know you love it. I know you find it interesting. I know you enjoy, you know, having these conversations and all this stuff. But let's just be real, you know, and anybody out there listening already knows at this point, any of our audience knows Brian is way more skeptical than I am when it comes to most things, like everything. But I want to ask you, okay, so we have all these accounts. If 1% of all these accounts are true, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So why do you think, or why do you believe that this 37th parallel, this imaginary line that really means nothing on a map, except if you're lost and trying to give coordinates, why do you think there's so much activity or alleged activity? Why do you think there's so much along this line?
You know, I'm not sure. I don't know how that would tie into, or what, you know, how that would amount to anything, how it affect anything. It doesn't, I mean, it's just like, just imagine a virtual map around the globe. It's just points on that. It's,
or
probably not, but go ahead.
No, we were talking with some of our research that we've been looking into for this project that we've been working on. And that's all we're going to call it for who knows how long is our project.
The project.
The project. The project of projects. But, you know, I was talking about, you know, in tying all these different places, all these cities together, you know, I was talking about ley lines. Well, you know, ley lines is this huge belief, especially with, you know, pagans and a lot of these ancient people. And if you look and believe what, you know, some of these people are saying, you know, a lot of these ancient structures or ceremonial, you know, ritualistic places that they're placed or built on, they claim to be built on ley lines, that there's just this energy is different. There's these, you know, energy vortexes, you know, all this different stuff is what's claimed. So when I started actually looking into more research into our project, you know, I started looking at ley lines, and you look at some maps and they have so many on there that you can't even tell that there's a map underneath all the crisscrossing lines. If that's the case, the entire world is a ley line. Yeah. So it really doesn't matter.
They should have just like blotted out Earth and then been like, there you go, there's your ley lines.
Yeah. But in doing that, that's how I came across the 37th parallel. And I mean, when you claim or when you have people dubbing it, you know, the paranormal highway, the extraterrestrial highway, you know, to me, it feels like there's something important about what's going on. I wonder if there's mounds. Across. You know, we just talked with Adam about the mound builders.
Hey, by the way, have you been at Poplar Gap by the house this way?
Yeah, I have. Not recently, but I have a lot.
So now they've got that road connected. It's paved all the way. When you get up there, you know what? I've gone by this a million times. And right as you go by that one giant shop where they build the trailers and things.
Yeah.
As you go down that, over to your left where they've done all this work, that's now a gigantic mound.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you about that today, but I was like,
That's
this is
pretty
crazy.
cool.
Are we building mounds now? Is that what we're doing?
Maybe there's giant bones in there somewhere, bro.
Yes. Before I did that, what were you saying?
No, I was just talking about what led the connection.
Oh.
And I will say this. I was looking to see if all these places were connected via ley lines. And what I found was they, in fact, are connected by the 37th parallel. Every place that I've been looking, and many more. You know, you're talking DC, the Pentagon, you know, all these places. And if you believe a lot of the occult symbolism that's put out there on the building and the architecture and the structures of DC, I mean, dude, it's crazy. It's all nuts. But that's neither here nor there. But another thing that we've been looking at that connects all this stuff, it's just nuts how everything, you know, call it what you want, call it coincidence, call it synchronicity, call it, you know, if you're looking at enough stuff, it's all going to start tying together. Call it what you will. But there have been things, and you know as well as I do, there have been things over the course of the last, we'll say 3 weeks, that have happened that I have no way to explain it. I mean, you know, just things coming about that, you know, we were just talking about, or, you know, had just listened to or read up on, or, you know, all these different things that's just boom, it's happening. And in a lot of cases, it's almost like we already have things in place for what just happened, or for what's happening to happen before we know what's going to happen. Yeah. If that makes any sense at all. So with this, you know, a lot of what we've talked about it and mentioned it in a lot of different episodes that we've done, dude, in Missing 411, in you know, talking about Bigfoot, talking about the missing persons along the Appalachian Trail. You know, a lot of the episodes that we've done, we've mentioned Mammoth Cave. Now, for those that don't know what Mammoth Cave is, it's eastern central Kentucky, more central Kentucky. But it's this cave system that they have mapped. They have explored and mapped over 400 miles of this cave system. They believe and project that this cave system runs all the way up into the Northeast and also Eastern and into the Midwest. I mean, it literally just spans out like a spider web. So also Fort Knox is only like 50 miles from Mammoth Cave, and we know that there's all kinds of underground tunnels below Fort Knox. So take that for what you will. And I've also been looking a lot into DUMBs, into deep underground military bases.
That's just dumb.
Oh, it's DUMBs. It is DUMBs for sure.
Oh.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Hold up.
Oh crap, I can't tell the story anymore.
No, you can't tell it. Maybe you can. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, with this Mammoth Cave system, okay, and how much it stretches and expands out, which also goes along with the DUMBs. But let's forget about the DUMBs for a second. With this cave system, there is so much unexplored subterranean area under our feet that we have no idea about. I mean, they project this thing. It's already the biggest documented cave system in the entire world. Yeah. But they still believe that there's so much, you know, triple that, quadruple that maybe out there that has been unexplored. So almost anything that you could think of, I mean, how much could hide in a totally unexplored cave system? And you talk about, like, I've seen and heard accounts, and we haven't talked about UFOs and extraterrestrials. I don't think we've done an episode yet. We haven't talked much about them at all. No. But you see so many accounts of people talking about these things coming from underground or under the water, that you know, yeah, now you hear a lot of accounts. They're in the sky. Of course, they're unidentified flying objects, or what the government wants to call them now, UAPs. What's that? I don't even know what that stands for. I ain't using their UAP crap. They're just trying to make it, they're just trying to get I don't know. Anyway, but there's so many accounts of these things coming from underground of some sort, from under the water, from underground. And a lot of people will say, well, these things came in and out of portals. Well, what if it wasn't necessarily a portal? What if it was just under the ground? Same thing with Bigfoot sightings and accounts, or other cryptid sightings and accounts. They're talk about, how they kind of phase in, or some accounts will talk about how they phase in and out of these portals. Well, what if it's just cave systems? What if they're just ducking in and out wherever they want to, because they know this subterranean area environment. They know where openings are. They know where exits are. Maybe that's why, in some of these Bigfoot accounts, you see them 1 second and then they're just gone. There's no trace. Maybe that's why you see a footprint here. And look, I'm not saying that there isn't something metaphysical in all this, because I do believe in other dimensions, in the possibility of portals. I believe in these things. I know you don't as much or at all, but even if it wasn't that, even if these were just, creatures that we haven't, discovered, identified, put a name and a label on them, have them in a lab, whatever, maybe that's how they stay hidden. Maybe they have to come out and do certain things or whatever. They're trying to be secretive about it. I don't know.
Oh, these poor fellas. They was just trying to do their business and go home.
Maybe they had to make a store trip. They had to make a trip, get some bread and milk, because they were out at their underground store and people trying to see them. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
But no, it is crazy. I mean, it is crazy. Okay, what were you going to say before I rudely cut you off and kept going?
Holy crap, that was so long ago.
It's something about dumbs.
No, it was before that. The ley line.
Oh, okay.
Now, one thing that did occur to me when we were talking about ley lines the other day that I yet again forgotten to mention to you. But what better place to do it than here? Those are like man-made things. So if I really wanted to tie things together, I would just draw a line from the pyramids to Stonehenge, right?
Yeah. And some people do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they're calling a ley line. So, I mean, I'm just saying we can't put too much faith in that, it's, or I don't think. My opinion.
I mean, I'm kind of with you on the whole ley lines thing, because like I said earlier, I was looking up a couple maps, and some were more believable than others. But then others, like I said, it looked like my 5-year-old that I just handed her a picture of the Earth map, a flat Earth, we'll say. And she just took a bunch of markers and started scribbling all over it. Like, that's literally what some of these maps look like. So in that case, no, I can't believe that, because if we're going to say that there's importance in these things, and that ancient structures, temples, religious places, all these things, mounds, all these things that are built on these things for some important reason, to, absorb these energies from the earth, or to be markers for extraterrestrials, or whatever you want to say. If we're going to use them as markers, then they can't be all over the world. That doesn't make any sense. Just scattered about. But a one straight line around the earth parallel where a bunch of crazy crap has happened, that to me makes sense. That to me says, okay, there's something, and I can't tell you what it is. I have no idea. But to me, there's something there. There has to be something to it. There has to be, because we know how many stories come out of our area. We know that Kentucky as a whole is crazy insane. Some of the stories that come out of all of Kentucky, you know, all from border to border, east to west, there's all kinds of stories. We know that when you get out to, you know, the Four Corners area and the Skinwalker Ranch area, we know how many stories come from there. Even, you know, the Grand Canyon, there's all kinds of stories that come from the Grand Canyon about, you know, giant skeletons that have been found in the Grand Canyon, parts and pieces and remnants of what they believe to be ancient civilizations inside the Grand Canyon. You know, so there's something important. There has to be in that, like you said earlier, that 150-mile radius from the 36th to the 38th parallel. There has to be something to it. I just don't know what it is. I know there's all kinds of accounts.
But just to be clear, folks, I just gave the parameters. I didn't say there had to be something going on.
That was me. That was me.
You drag me down in your crazy boat.
That was me. I'll take this one.
It is weird that it would be so synchronistic, or I don't know, maybe bad luck is just a straight shooter. I don't know.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I'll be here every Friday, folks.
Well, you take, you know, the area 51, Roswell, that area, all the lore around it, all the lore around Skinwalker Ranch, all the lore around the Dulce Air Base, you know, when you watch a documentary on any of this stuff, that's the places that they're going to. That's where hundreds and thousands of accounts are coming from. That's where I don't know where Phoenix is. Remember the Phoenix lights that happened a few years ago?
Oh, yeah.
When literally an entire city, I mean, I know Phoenix is in Arizona, but I don't know where it's at on that 37th parallel boundary. Dummy.
Duh.
I mean, if you listen to what's her name, that country artist, there is no Arizona. So
oh, yeah.
There you go. But you've got an entire city almost that witnessed these crazy lights in the sky that nobody could account for. Nobody knew. And now look, I am a firm believer that militaries worldwide, not just the U.S. military, militaries worldwide, I believe have technologies way more advanced than what we know about. I mean, I believe that they're probably decades advanced than what we know of. What are you doing, man?
Are you hearing that?
What?
It keeps sounding like somebody opens that door.
Yeah, they're trying to make you a believer.
No.
They're trying to make you a believer.
I have no time for that. Piss off, ghost.
Your man cave's haunted. The haunted man cave. But anyway, you know, I know that a lot of these accounts are probably military, that they're not ready to step up and say, oh, well, that was us, because they don't want to say that they have that technology yet. I know that they're not that they're trying to keep their cards close to their chest, that everything is
they shouldn't tell anybody what they have.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that. As long as they're not using it on me or citizens of the world, I'm good with that. Whatever. But I will say some of this stuff too is just, it's nuts. Some of these accounts, some of these cases, they're just insane. There's no military behind it. Dude, you're starting to freak me out.
Hold on. I can't tell if it's just these.
I don't know.
Man, I wish my other headphones were working. Stupid. This is stupid. It doesn't help that I'm super high. Okay. And
that probably doesn't help.
Man, it's about time though.
Yeah.
I don't think those other gummies are working anymore.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, to me, it's crazy. We started looking into this whole thing. Like I said, paranormal experiences, ghosts, demons, all this stuff, whatever you want to call that realm. The cryptid sightings, the UFO sightings, the cattle mutilations, another thing that I wanted to talk about. Nah, I'll save that we're going to do a dumb episode. That's what we're going to call it, the dumb episode.
Dumb episode?
Yeah, we're doing one, and I've got a lot to talk about on that one. Because
dumb it down.
I'll just throw this one out there real fast. Do you remember? I don't know. Well, I don't know if you were back. How long have you been back in this area?
Can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021. I've been at work a year now, right?
Yeah.
Or is it April?
April will make a year.
Yeah.
April will make a year. So you might not have been around when this whole thing happened, but I don't remember exactly what time of day. I think it was the evening. I worked where we work now. Had come home, was sitting right here. I might have actually been sitting in the same spot that I am right now in my living room. And all of a sudden, dude, there was this gigantic, just sounded like an explosion and little tremor. Like the pictures on the wall rattled. I mean, it was nuts. And people felt that and heard that in a couple surrounding counties. I mean, huge. There was never an actual explanation given for that. None. Now, look, I know that we have a ton of abandoned mines around here.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them could have fell in, whatever. But when these things happen, people are investigating, trying to figure out, because with these abandoned mines, if they do collapse and stuff like that, you could have the, gas leaks, all these different things going on. One thing that meteorologists, a couple different meteorologists claimed that it was what did they call that? An ice quake, maybe ice quake, snow quake, something like that. And what that was is when the temperature drops dramatically and then warms back up dramatically and then drops again, or something along those lines. It's crazy temperature fluctuations that causes the ice under the earth to expand and contract and all this different blah, blah, blah. Well, a couple of them were saying, oh, that's what it was. Definitely an ice quake. Well, then you had a couple more coming back to them being like, there's no way that was an ice quake because the temperature hasn't it hasn't dropped or raised severely enough for that to happen. So like all these different, things are being talked about and said. Everybody heard it. Everybody felt it. No explanation ever given, ever up to this point, not one. But then just like most other things, everybody just forgot about it. No big deal. Everybody forgot about it. Let's move on. Let's see what's on CNN and Facebook. And I mean, dude, things like that, that's not just supposed to happen. I mean, so, how do you explain that? What, I don't know. That's where I get into the whole cavern system.
fracking causes that, right?
Fracking can, but I don't think to that extent. I
Now,
mean,
in 2011, in Trinidad, Colorado, that was one of those synchronistic things we talked about. Trinidad.
yeah.
There was an earthquake that registered, and it was like 2.7 miles deep, which is really weird because normally with an earthquake, your shallowest point is 60 miles. So,
And it was only 2.
yeah. And then he sees, then he starts seeing these other accounts of earthquakes, and he gets to looking, and he's like reporting in on this. He gets a hold of the news station. He's like, listen, you guys should probably know that they're somebody's mining or doing something under the ground, and that's what's causing those earthquakes because they're too shallow. And he said they just blew him off. He said, however, a year later, here it all comes out and they're all losing their minds.
It was fracking.
It was fracking. He's like,
Yeah.
you guys would have known that a year ago if you just listened.
Or
they were told to push that agenda. I know where you're going with this.
Nope. Well, I mean, they could have been told to push that agenda based on it was a deep underground military base getting added on to or taken away from. Man, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're all over the country. They're everywhere. And look, I know you're a veteran, and I know I hate talking about these things because I feel like you should probably be in the loop. You should probably, and maybe you were, and maybe you signed an NDA and you can't talk about these things. And that's why you make me feel so dumb when I'm talking about dumbs, like a big dummy, a dumb dummy.
I promise you. I have signed NDAs, but it wasn't because of that.
Your promises mean nothing to me. NDAs take care of promises. Look, you can't fool me. You can't fool me, Ryan. I know what you're hiding. I know what you're hiding. And I'm not standing for it. I will discover the truth. We'll uncover it, and we'll do it for the world to see one day. When I finally break you down and you're a full believer and you're just deciding to share everything that you know. It's gonna happen.
Oh man.
Wow. No, you mentioned those spook lights earlier, and I don't think we actually clarified what those were or what they looked like. This is something that's like totally different from the UFO phenomena, right?
Yeah. It's so they were talking about the sizes of these things, and it said like some of them would have a light the size of a I don't know, let's say the size of a big beach ball, but be the size of a golf ball, and the other ones would be the size of a golf ball and have a light the size of a beach ball. Like that was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's how they described all these things, and it was a long time ago. I don't think that was the exact wording they used, but I couldn't think of those words, so I just used beach ball and golf ball.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
You guys get it. We're not the experts here. We're just telling stories, much like some of these people. But these people were seeing these things. It is documented. And it wasn't just happening in that one area. It started happening on the eastern seaboard as well.
Well, here I got a little bit right here talking about anomalies along the 37th parallel have been reported since the 19th century and earlier if you include reports from indigenous peoples. The Joplin spook light, also called the tri-state spook light, and the Ozark spook light were first noted in 1836. It was seen by native people on the Trail of Tears in Missouri and Oklahoma. Luminous objects were spotted near the rising sun at Burritt College in Tennessee on June 1st, 1853. Students reported that one looked like a moon, the other like a star. Might have been a moon and a star. The lights did not move for 30 minutes, but expanded and contracted in size several times. Residents of Wilmington, Delaware, that ain't along the 37th parallel. I guess they're just talking about the glowing, the lights.
Yeah.
They saw the sky filled with a pale blue light as a large object moved overhead. It was followed by 3 red and glowing balls in July. 1860, according to the Wilmington Tribune, mystery airships were reported in Arkansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Texas, Kansas, and Kentucky in the late 1890s. Wait a minute, what? Mystery airships were reported in 6 different states in the late 1890s. All right.
All
and
along
native
the 37th parallel.
and native people all have ancient star people stories. Many tribes, including the Navajo, Apache, Pueblo, Hopi, and Santa Clara, all tell creation stories that include their people being brought to the Earth's surface at locations along the 37th parallel, generally in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, and the Grand Canyon, Arizona. The Tiwa people identify a location near the Great Sand Dunes Monument in Colorado's St. Louis Valley as their place of emergence. Huh. So
go ahead, say that word. Their sacred sites are called.
Yeah, I couldn't say that one.
Sipapu.
Sipapu. Sipapu. Sipapu.
Sipapu. So you guys pronounce it how you want.
Sipapu. I like Sipapu. But anyway, that's just crazy. These aren't UFO. Well, the mystery airships are UFOs, obviously. But all these lights, it's like the Brown Mountain lights, dude, in North Carolina, the Brown Mountain. I bet that's probably along the 37th parallel too, or close to it, probably hugging it.
Probably.
For shoot, decades and decades.
Well, I think it even says there's accounts in the 36th and 38th parallel, just not as prevalent as the 37th parallel.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot where I was going with this. I had something to say and I forgot about it because we were talking about that. Oh, this website. I just read word for word. I'm on the same website as you because you know what I did? You know what I did? I Googled 37th parallel. Hit okay. It pulled up a bunch of websites and I went, nope, bingo. And then I pulled it up, sat it down, and I was like, I'm just going to see if that's the one he goes to. I knew it. The craziest. It's Gaia. Have you seen their streaming series?
No, I haven't.
And their document, dude, I cannot believe that. You should be ashamed to call yourself a conspiracy theorist. This is
look, just because I don't cover or subscribe to Gaia and what they're doing, I'm taking in enough. Taking in enough.
They won't let you in. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
So I figured out what those noises were. There's this stupid potted plant out on the porch now, and the wind is blowing. And it was just rolling against the corner of the building here.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to say, but your place is haunted. I just saw the lights flicker in and out, bro. You got some stuff going on there. We might just investigate your man cave coming up.
You want me to turn the spirit box on?
Not right now. I got to go to bed here in a little bit. I won't be able to sleep.
I'm going to cross my fingers every time we use one. Like, please say something. Justin is going to shit his pants. He's going to rub it in my face so hard.
Oh, dude, I was listening to to a podcast I listen to a lot. Sam Tripoli was talking today, and was actually two of my podcasting heroes, Sam Tripoli and Tony Merkel, were doing an episode together about Tony Merkel does the confessionals, his documentary, his Dogman documentary that he had Ward that we interviewed was part of Tony's team on that documentary.
Yeah.
But they were talking today, and Sam was telling Tony, he's like, man, you're brave. You're so brave. There's no way that I could do these things and this and that. He said, my first line of defense, if I'm out in the woods, I'm investigating, and one of these things come at me, he said, I'm crapping my pants. I'm crapping my pants. He said, if they want to eat me, they're going to have to eat the crap too. He said, that's my only line of defense. He's like, how good does Krav Maga work on these things? But no, man, I just think kind of winding this whole thing up. Like I said, we gotta keep the show. The show must go on. We got to keep rolling, regardless. I love having guests on here. It don't always work out. Unfortunately, my schedule for sure, but our schedules are so packed full of, with me on my end, it's kids sports, and I have a couple evenings a week that I have available, sometimes a couple. So I can't really plan all these guests in advance because, I don't know for sure if there's going to be schedule changes or rain out, weather delays, all these different things. So, I hate being that guy that schedules a guest for an interview and then I have to be the one to postpone it, or I don't like doing that. If they have to, so be it. Life is life. Things happen. I get it. But that's what's so awesome about, us doing this thing together is regardless of if we have a guest or not, we're still going to do a show. Yeah. We still have all these topics that we find interesting and going to talk about. And hopefully some people can hear these things and be like, oh, well, I know an expert on that, or I've heard an expert. Here they are, check these guys out, bring them on the show. So, I love having guests, but at the same time, I also love just these conversations that we have.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you read and heard the reviews that I read, the reviews that we've gotten so far. And look, we're still babies in this whole game. We're still learning every day.
Yeah. What episode is this? 10? 10, 11?
No, this is I think this is 13.
Jesus Christ. Where have I been?
I don't know. I don't know where you've been.
Okay, we're 13 episodes in, folks, and I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Ryan. That's nuts.
Yeah, episode 13. But still, that's babies in this area.
Oh yeah.
So that's it. We're just trying to have good conversations. We're trying to hear great stories from really awesome people. We haven't had a guest yet that after we've conducted the interview on the show, I haven't been in contact with since.
Yeah.
Talking about this and that. So that's what I love about this is we're building relationships.
Yeah.
And some of these relationships, hopefully, with this project that we're looking toward and going to be working on, they can jump in too. They can jump in, be a part of it. And we just continue to grow this thing until, we have a backlog of guests that want to come on.
Speaking of growing this thing, I want to give a shout out to our new producer, Lance Compton. He was on our show 2 episodes ago. He and Justin have been lifelong friends. That's the first time I've ever met. I've never physically met Lance, but the dude's awesome. He's just a lovable guy, straight shooting. When he says he's going to research something, that's it. He's already down a rabbit hole. We can't even find him right now. He's supposed to teach a class. But We don't know where he's at. So Lance, if you're hearing this, just come on back, bud.
Just come on back in. Come on to take a breath.
Follow my voice.
No, man, that's it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was talking to him after that, and he I told him, I said, as a producer of the show now, he said, what does that even really mean? I said, I don't know. Ryan says you like give titles to episodes and just show up when we need you. That's a producer. He was like, okay, well, I can do that. But I know Lance, and I know the kind of guy that he is. And I know when we first started talking about this project, this is going to get really old. This is going to get really, really old. Keep calling it this project. When we first started talking, I said,
you did it, and you decided that's what we'd call it. And,
well, I
know. You've pissed yourself off.
I already don't like it. I do that a lot, man. I do that a lot. But, I knew that he's one of these guys you want on a team, because he does, man. He dives deep. He asks questions. He researches. He's well read. I mean, if he's interested in something, he's going to learn everything there is to know about it. And that's the kind of, that's what we need. I wish that I was more like this, because you and I both are shoot from the hip. Let's wing it. Let's go into this thing and just have a good time and have conversation. With a team that, in the first couple of episodes, we talked about, building a team and was throwing it out there hypothetically. But dude, 13 episodes in, we're building a team. Yeah. I mean, we have research producers that we're sitting here talking about right now. We have people that are coming to us saying, that know a little bit about what we're doing, saying, oh, hey, I know this guy and here's his story. I know this girl and here's her story. Here's this contact. All this different stuff, man. You have people that are chipping in saying, I have a family member that worked at this place for, years and years and years and retired from there. I'll give you her contact so you can get up there and ask her these questions, see if anything crazy's went on there. So, I mean, even family members, like, I was at a dinner at my grandma's the other day, and I was just asking, just openly asking questions. Hey, do y'all know anything about this place? And man, it was just like information. Everybody just excited about what's going on here, what we're doing. That's what I love, man. Because I didn't believe, I believed, because I don't start anything without looking all the way down the road and seeing my end goal. And and I know you're the same way, we'll work our butts off until we get there.
Oh yeah.
Till we get there, or it all totally blows up in our face. But what I didn't realize, and look, yeah, we have quite a few listeners in quite a few different locations, and I'm super thankful for each and every one of them. I'm thankful for all the reviews and the ratings. I'm thankful for people sharing it. But more than all of that, I'm thankful for the people that are coming together in this close, tight-knit team that we're building. Even if they don't even know they're a part of it, they're a huge part of it. That's what I love.
Yeah. It is growing. The fan base is getting larger. That's always exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I just kind of go about this like it really does make me happy, and I get excited. I'm like, yes, this thing is blowing up like we want it to. But also at the same time, I get all my info from Justin, because he's got to know those numbers, man. He's like, all right, we're in this percentile. We've had this many downloads. We've got to pick this up. We're 13 episodes in, and we're in the top 25%.
I told you I'm goal oriented. I might be wing it, shoot from the hip, but I'm goal oriented. I'm going to go about it in a totally different way than most people. It's not going to be organized. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be a straight line, but we're going to get there.
Well, the great thing about it is I'm just I'm like a sagebrush in the wind, man. Let's just go. I'm up for whatever, as long as you have gummies. Do not choke on your water. And that's the show. I've killed Justin.
That's the show, everybody. Justin choked on water, and that's it. That's it. But no, guys, Ryan, you got anything else before we close this thing out? I thought this was a good conversation. I mean, more than anything, I just hope it gets people looking into this whole 37th parallel thing and trying to come up with their own ideas and theories and just look into the stories, man. The stories are there's thousands. It's nuts.
Or if you already have theories about it, you know, our email address, appalachianintelligence@gmail.com. I'm constantly monitoring it. I want to give a shout out. I just received an email earlier. One of my favorite podcasts out there, Darren Marlar, and the Weird Darkness Show. It is great. He does everything from audiobooks to animated shows, all this stuff, but he has this podcast and he posts daily. Like, this man is on top of his podcast game. He posts daily and still has some in the vault that he can bring back. Like, it's crazy how much content he creates, but he's awesome at what he does. He's a man of faith, but he stays true to any author's book because he's legally bound, you know, as the narrator. But he got our promo, and he's going to play that in the pre-series, you know, the prelogue of his episode is dropping tonight. So I just want to give a shout out to him if he ever hears this. Thank you, Darren. And again, just love your show and keep up the good work. And we're praying for those migraines.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That is awesome. I mean, to have somebody in that capacity even consider, you know, putting our promo out there, putting anything that we have to, you know, promoting what we're doing is fantastic. So Darren, yeah, if you're listening to this, we thank you a million times over. And if there's anything that we could ever do for you, just let us know. But guys, that's it. You know, this was a good conversation. I had a lot of fun.
Just know this is just a segue into where we're going. And then where we're going will be a segue into the project. There's a lot of segues here, folks. Their batteries don't last that long. Wait, that's a segue, right? Wait. You guys know what I'm saying. It's a joke. I know what it is.
Yeah, this is layers upon layers upon layers. Everything we do, there's a method to our madness. So just stick with it. Trust the process, and know that everything we do, even if this was just a fun conversation, which it was, it's a building block and a leading up to bigger and bigger and bigger. So with that, thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in again. Thank you for the ratings and reviews. Thank you for sharing the show. And we ask that you do that any way possible. You know, share it on your social media, share it by word of mouth. I mean, that's the biggest way, is share it with your friends, share it with your family, you know, share it however you share it. It doesn't really matter to us. Just share it, because that's the way this show really, really grows. All of our social media links will be in the show notes. Follow us on our social media accounts. Subscribe to our YouTube at Appalachian Intelligence. And again, just like Ryan said, if you have your own personal stories, theories, whatever you're looking into that you want to talk about, email us, let us know, and we'll get you on the show. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We have a great guest coming on next week. y'all are going to love it. Y'all are going to love the conversation that we have there. And we actually have a couple more guests lined up after that, after her as well. So y'all stick around, stay tuned. We're trying to keep the topics broad. We're trying to keep, to do a lot of different things, to talk about a lot of different things in this realm that we're in with the paranormal and cryptids and all this different stuff, conspiracy. We're trying to keep it fresh, and we're trying to bring on these guests that have expertise in these things. So hope you guys are still enjoying. Again, share it, please. And tune in again next week. But we love you guys. And until next time, we'll see y'all later.